For 12 days, Jamila lay here on a hospital bed in Hodeidah. The 7-year-old is too weak to fight off disease, so her father sits in vigil at her bedside. Yesterday, Jamila left hospital. Her relatives carried her to a final resting place. In Yemen, a child now dies every 10 minutes. In Sana'a, 5-month-old Radwa is fighting malnutrition. She weighs just 3 kilograms, less than half of what she's supposed to at her age.
I brought my daughter here and they confirmed she's suffering from malnutrition. You see your child dying in front of you. Why don't they let us live our life? We want them to stop the blockade and the airstrikes so we can live normally.
More than 2 years of war has left millions of Yemenis starving and displaced. Yasser al-Hibshi's house was destroyed in an airstrike launched by the Saudi-led coalition. 3 of his children were killed in their sleep. The displaced now live in makeshift tents. Their biggest worry, where the next meal will come from. 2 out of 3 Yemenis simply don't know.
Well, I'm joined now from Jordan by Jan Egeland. Mr. Egeland, as somewhat of an aid veteran, you've visited many conflicts around the world over the years. How does this compare?
I think this is perhaps the biggest food security crisis that I've seen in recent decades. 17 million Yemenis need food aid. 7 million are on the brink of famine. How many did we reach through a collective effort of humanitarian organizations led by the World Food Programme last month? 3 million of these 7 million who need food to survive. So we are now having a countdown to famine, and it is wholly man-made, but it is also totally preventable.
Well, as you point out, this is a wholly man-made catastrophe. You're warning of a famine of possibly biblical proportions, and yet it can be prevented.
Absolutely. I mean, we, the aid organizations on the ground, I have many colleagues that are field workers there, we can reach virtually all of these 7 million, even though we have local, access problems caused by the war. Our main problem now is, number one, we have too little cash, we have too little food in the pipeline for our relief operation. Equally important, of course, perhaps more important, is we need a ceasefire, we need an end to the bombing, we need serious peace talks, and we need an end to those sanctions that are crippling the economy. There is no economic life anymore inside Yemen. We cannot allow 27 million to be dependent on food aid.
And yet there is no prospect of a ceasefire. Indeed, the Saudi-led coalition may yet attack the main port in Yemen.
Yes, that is extremely worrying. My colleagues in Hodeidah port told me about leaflets being dropped by Saudi airplanes saying, "We are coming, choose sides in this battle." If there is an attack on Hodeidah port and it goes up in flames, the main lifeline for millions will be cut for a very long period. Then we will have famine, whatever the rest of us are doing inside the country. So diplomats have to wake up and make the parties sit down and agree to a peace process, and the port has to be spared.
What then is your appeal to allies of the Saudi government, indeed the British government?
Well, my appeal is to the United States and to Britain that support the Saudi-led coalition, but certainly also to the other side. I mean, the government in Sana'a, called the Houthi Saleh government, I met with them, and my message also to them was, help stop this war, go into negotiations, and Iran may be supporting them. All of these need to stop bringing fuel to this fire. We need a peace process, we need a peace effort, and we need a massive injection of aid. If not, millions will die. The children that you showed images of were exactly the kind of children I saw in the last 5 days, some of these feeding clinics are now closing down. One that I visited yesterday had closed down because the nurses and the doctors hadn't been paid for 8 months. They, the health workers, are themselves struggling to survive.
Jan Egeland, thank you very much.